Hey, there I am. I'm getting better at this already. Welcome, everybody. Bienvenidos a todos. ¿De dónde eres? Tell us where you're from today. I am going to try. Don't forget, this first week, everyone is my test audience. Yeah. So today I'm going to work on, every day I'm going to work on a new skill. And today I'm going to work on comments. So I won't rely on my phone today. I'm going to make sure I use it right here in front of me. And I see somebody here. Hey, Dennis. Hi, and happy Saturday to you too. Hola. Hola. I am not fluent in Spanish. Necesito practicar mi español, pero I will try a little bit just because we got a Latin theme going on, right? So today, y'all, we are talking about two of my favorite things. And I think you can tell by my hat where I'm going to take y'all to. I also have a shirt that has it on here, but it's hard to see my shirt. But we are going to talk about cigars and salsa. And I don't mean the food, although salsa is very good. Salsa is very good, the food salsa. But believe it or not, the name of the dance kind of got uh it kind of derived from the word salsa as far as the food. Then it says, I love a good spicy chunky salsa. I used to get mango peach salsa, and that was the bomb. I like mango salsa too. I think it was mango peach. But anyway, because it's like that sweet, spicy thing going on. But that's not the salsa I'm talking about today. Maybe one day we'll talk about that salsa, but not today. Yeah, I'm still sipping on my coffee. I'm a little late. It's Saturday morning, and I think I told everybody yesterday I'm kind of working on my sleep study. It didn't show up as good as the day before. I think it's because I had 2 cups of coffee yesterday, 2 mug size like that, and I know better, but it is what it is. Today that will be it, and I will drink water and electrolytes for the rest of the day. So anyway, I'm trying to decide which one I want to start with first. I'm going to give y'all a little history of both of them, and you'll see why I put the two together and why a lot of times you'll hear the two together out in the communities of salsa and cigars, right? And yes, everyone, please make sure you drop in the comments where you're from. De donde eres? Where are you from? Where are you today? You can tell me where you used to live. You can tell me where you live now. It doesn't matter. Just put something in the comments. I'd love that. So I think what I'm going to do is start with the dance first. And I made a few little notes about the history of the dance of salsa. And as people come in, I'm trying to give people a little bit more time to come in. And oh, good morning, Catrice. How are you? Yay, West Virginia. In the house, West Virginia. Hopefully that was no real gang sign. Hopefully that was just West Virginia. And happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. All right. Let's see. Let's start with salsa. Yeah, let's start with the dance first. Here's a little history of the dance. And yes, I've got my little notes here. I'm going to be reading from it because even though I know most of it in my head, I'm going to read so I can be exact, right? Salsa dance, a vibrant and energetic style, evolved from a blend of Afro-Caribbean musical and dance traditions, particularly in Cuba and Puerto Rico, and later flourished in New York City. It's a fusion of various Caribbean rhythms like son cubano, mambo, cha-cha-cha, one of my favorites, and rumba, with influences from African and European musical styles. And I'm going to get you all to, if you have a question about any of that I'm reading as far as the history, drop that in the comments as well. So here's some of the early influences. Afro-Cuban roots. The foundation of salsa lies in the rich musical heritage of Cuba and Puerto Rico, where African rhythms and dances brought by enslaved people merged with Spanish musical influences. So it was kind of when the African slaves and the Spanish, the Spanish merged together, it brought this style of music. I guess I want to say explorers. That's the word I was looking for. With them, they brought son, which is more of the upright, I call it more rigid style of dancing, and where the African influence brought the movement of the body and the actual flow of the dance. So you merge the two together and you got salsa. I think I mentioned yesterday, salsa falls under a big umbrella. There's a lot of things, and I'll mention some of them in a minute. But that is the main word we use in the dance world as we're about to go dance salsa. So let's see, son cubano, the traditional Cuban music style, emerging in the late 19th century, combined Spanish guitar and African percussion, providing a rhythmic and melodic base for salsa. Cuban salsa is a little different than American style salsa or LA style. I'm going to put it that way. So again, we're talking about the different styles. I dance Cuban salsa. That's what I dance when I'm in Knoxville and help teach that class of Cuban style salsa. We call it casino. I was just playing a little music from casino style, or called timba. Okay, that's what it's called. The rhythms are extremely complicated, but yet simple. Kind of like life. Life can be extremely complicated, but at the same time, it's really simple if you just do what you're supposed to do, right? Anyway, let's move on. Other Caribbean rhythms. As son cubano spread, it incorporated elements from mambo, cha-cha-cha, and rumba, further enriching its complexity. So there's rumba and then there's rumba. Rumba is more of the ballroom style, but rumba is more of the Latin style of movement. Both are Latin, but again, it's complicated yet simple. Okay, so salsa had a rise in New York. The immigration and cultural exchange. Cuban immigrants brought their musical traditions to New York City, particularly in neighborhoods like El Barrio and Washington Heights in the 1920s. In other words, that's known as Spanish Harlem. Been there, love that. Musical fusion. The infectious rhythms of Cuban music resonated with jazz musicians, leading to further fusion and the development of distinct salsa styles. So guess what, y'all? I just got a little bit more to read from that. That's how I first got introduced to Latin style music. I wondered for a long time. Hey, Bacon Baby, how you doing? I wondered for a long time why I was so drawn to this music. And when I did some reflection, because I told you yesterday, I'm an introvert, so I reflect a lot on myself. I realized that I grew up listening to a version of it all my life. So my dad was big into big band and jazz, Dizzy Gillespie, Duke Ellington, Celia Cruz. And then I went, whoop, Celia Cruz. Guess what? She's the queen of salsa. Yeah, queen of salsa music from Cuba. You should look up her story sometime. When I was little, I remember hearing her singing with, I believe, Duke Ellington. And I remember hearing her dialect, her Latin dialect, and just going, oh, this lady kind of talks a little different, you know? I'm like, but I like the music. So fast forward to now, guess what? I'm in the salsa world, and some of my favorite music is from Celia Cruz, the queen, y'all, la reina of the salsa music world, and the big band and jazz fusions of the 50s and 60s. And yeah, she was the whole thing. Oh, Bacon Baby. When I say Cuba was on my list too, guess where I bought this? In Cuba, or Cuba, as people would pronounce better. Yeah, I had to do it. I had to do it. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Let me finish the history. You see how excited I get when I talk about dance and when I talk about cigars. This is when I'm in my happy place, okay? So, some key styles. Like I was telling you, there's LA style salsa. That is what we call the slotted style of salsa. That's what you'll see most Americans dancing, the LA style of salsa. That has been my only thing I have not done is danced LA style salsa in LA. All the other salsas I've danced in, or styles of Latin dancing, I've danced in their country of origin or their place of origin. But I have not yet, which you would think would be the easiest thing to do, right? Dance LA style salsa in LA. But I at least still dance, right? So then we have New York salsa. Yep, I dance New York salsa. Some people call it on two. It's the downbeat is on the second beat instead of the first. The first time I danced New York style, it was very interesting because I was still kind of new to salsa. And yeah, that's a whole nother story, right? Then there's Casino Rueda. If dance was a drug, Rueda would be my crack. Enough said. Me gusto, me gusta, Rueda. I love Rueda, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. That is that Cuban style of salsa. Casino. I can just talk about casino by itself. And then there's the Cali style salsa, emerging from Colombia and also known as salsa caleña. So salsa has a global impact, worldwide popularity. Pretty much anywhere in the world, you can dance salsa. When I did a trip to Europe, there's a group of us, but we all kind of broke off and went to different cities. A couple of my friends ended up in Paris, and literally they were walking down the street, heard the music, and walked right over and started dancing salsa. When I say I had envy at that moment. One day I'll dance salsa in Paris too, because I didn't get to go to Paris. I ended up in Bordeaux. That's a whole nother story. That's on Thursday. I'm not going to talk more about that part. All right, so the evolution, the last part. Evolution and adaptation. Salsa continues to evolve as dancers from different backgrounds and cultures add their own unique flair and interpretations to the dance. So, in other words, that means dancing salsa is almost like having a fingerprint. I'm going to give you an example real quick. I have a friend that I used to teach salsa with back in Nashville, and she's originally from Chicago. We went to Chicago and we were dancing on Navy Pier, which was cool. Dancing in Chicago is muy bien. A lady walked up to me and asked me, "Hey, is that?" And she said the lady's name. I'm like, "Yeah. How did you know?" She said, "I can tell by her dance style." And after she said that, I started paying attention to the way people dance. Everybody puts their own energy and flair into how they move in salsa. And I guess that's the part I enjoy the most, the creativity of the dance. Yes, you have your basic steps. Yes, you have your functions and rules to how you do it. But after that, honey, you just make it yours. And once you make it yours, it's in mi corazon, it's in my heart. I always tell my students salsa starts with your feet first, then it goes to your head because you're trying to figure things out. But once it hits your heart and you don't have to think about what your feet and your head is doing, you are a true, real dancer by then. So that's a little bit of history about salsa. Since I'm on the topic of salsa, when we dance, we here in America, especially, we usually have special kind of shoes. So I thought I'd bring mine in. I always travel with my shoes, y'all. I had to go to the car and get these out of my car because no matter where I am, if some Latin dancing pops off, I'm there. So these are what I call my outdoor dance shoes. Okay. They're a little slicker at the bottom, but I can wear them outside. And I'll do Casino Rueda because it is more of an, for the lack of a better way of saying that, earthy style dance. You do want to have slick bottoms. It's hard to dance in just regular tennis shoes because the bottoms are rubberized and stuff. You want slick bottom shoes. And you want shoes with support. So flip flops are no when you're dancing salsa. Now, if I'm going out, and sometimes I teach in these too, and people are like, ooh, fancy. Yeah, I guess they're kind of fancy. See, some of my rhinestones are missing. Because when I say I wear these, like, there's no tomorrow, I do. I love this pair of shoes. They're so comfortable, and you want that. But what makes dance shoes, because I had somebody ask me, oh, I want those shoes. I said, you can't wear these out in the street. You'll ruin them. They have a suede, even though mine are dirty and I need to brush them. But that's a suede bottom. That's what they look like. And that's just black suede. And that helps you to turn and all that kind of stuff when you're dancing salsa without messing up your knees. Trust me, there was a time frame where I think I taught salsa like 3 or 4 times that week, and it was on different surfaces. And as dancers, you start being sensitive to the surfaces you dance on. The best surface is to dance on a wooden floor or a laminate floor, then tile floor. But to dance on concrete, we have to be really careful. Really careful. But I think I had danced on every type of floor surface that week. And I noticed that I turned and something didn't work right after that. And it was between my right knee and my hip. That literally incapacitated me for over a year, almost 2 years. Yeah, I could dance, but I couldn't trust my legs to do anything that I really wanted to do. And that kind of broke my heart. It did break my heart. Of course, now with this way of eating, that took a lot of the inflammation away. It took a lot of pain away, and I can dance almost like I did before I injured my leg, which I'm very happy about. So a little history of me in salsa, and then I'll switch over to the other part that's from Cuba. Um, I took ballroom dancing back in 2010 because I've always liked to dance and I've always liked watching how people dance. I always like partner dancing. To dance by yourself, it's okay. I mean, you should be able to just dance around your house if you want to. But to partner dance to me just was amazing, and it looked so graceful. So I started out with ballroom dancing, and I started at a ballroom studio. And I'm just going to look at y'all like this without saying something negative about ballroom studios. Okay, now I think you got what I meant. Uh, later, I found out that I called it the underground because I'm like, nobody knows about this. But I think it was when meetup.com really got popular in the area, in Nashville area. And dance communities were featuring lessons and stuff on meetup.com. So my same friend from Chicago and I, we were like, hey, guess what? We don't have to be enslaved by this dance studio who only taught you so much so far and then you had to drop some more money. We can go out and learn this for like $5 or $10 or less. Same stuff, better styling, way better styling. So we did. I started in swing dance because that was my other thing that I love, and I still love the swing dance. If it's the right music, I'm like, where's I need a partner. I want to swing dance. I want to swing dance. I even learned to lead it a little bit. It's been a while. I'm a little rusty at it, but I still love to do swing dance. I'm mostly an East Coast swing dance because even in the swing world, there are various types. There's East Coast triple step, which that's me. And then there's West Coast. And I was taking a beginner West Coast class, and long story short, I stopped taking the West Coast class, but I would love to take it again. The things that dance does to your brain, it helps you cross over that lateral plane of your brain. And whoo, it even tickles when I do that. So when that happens, it keeps your brain engaged. It keeps your brain connected to your body. It keeps you youthful. Most people that I know that are considered older in the dance world and have been dancing for a while, some of them are up in their 70s and 80s, okay? But you look at them and you wouldn't know it. You would not know it because dance keeps them so youthful and agile. You know, when you're constantly using your body and using all of your body, you can't help but be agile, right? So salsa does that too. Salsa actually is, again, like life. And I always tell my students, dance is life. Dance imitates life. You've got to have someone who follows. You got to have someone who leads. The leader has to be respectful of the follower. The follower has to be respectful of the lead. They're both individuals and they both bring something to the table, but they have to remember their respective parts. I'm going to let that sink in for a minute. Yeah. One guy told me, you know what? You saying that kind of helped my marriage. And I'm like, oh, wow. Hey, Cindy, how you doing? Yeah, I'm glad you caught the live too. It is hard in these YouTube streets, right? It is hard to keep up with everybody that you want to follow. But by the way, Cindy has a channel too, so you need to check her channel out. And I don't think I see Booby Goats today, but she has a channel. I don't know if I mentioned that yesterday or not. Bacon Baby, I'm not sure. Do you have a YouTube channel? I'm not sure. But anyway, I digress. What words are? Oh, dance is like life. So one of my favorite songs is Leanne. I think it's Leanne Rhymes, and I heard it the other night at Singo. Dennis, I think I mentioned it to you at Singo. That I love it because it talks. It actually gave me the words to explain how dance is so intrinsically a passion of mine. Like I'm always constantly moving when I hear music, no matter what type. No matter what type. So, anyway, that was part of how I started dancing. I danced, y'all. Yeah, I was. I was on your live stream, which was cool. That was fun. We got to do it again, Cindy. And maybe you can be on my live stream one day. I'm learning how to do this, so I'm depending on you all old school YouTubers to help me out with this kind of stuff, okay? I'm not calling you old, Cindy. I'm calling you old school YouTuber. Just the YouTube part. But anyway, I forgot what I was saying. I know it was about dance. I'll go back to it in a minute, right? Again, forgive me, y'all. This is live. This is live. This is the real me. This you're seeing the real deal right here. Oh, I know what I was talking about. I used to because I wanted this so bad, and when I found salsa was my thing, my jam. Um, I found lessons for it every day. When I say I dance 6 days out of the week, I dance 6 days out of the week. I dance 6 days. Yeah, I didn't stutter. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. When someone decided to add a class on a Sunday afternoon, I was there. I danced every night. And it made me happy. It was during a very sad time of my life. I had lost my husband like a year before, so it gave me something to focus on. When I say dance saved my life, hey there, Arch, how you doing? Oh, I'm so glad you made it. Yay! If you notice, his last name's the same as mine. That's my son. That's my oldest son. That's the chef, y'all, that y'all heard me talk about before. That's the chef. Anyway, um, yeah, it saved my life because it gave me something else to focus on and made me happy. Even when, even now, when I hear the music, oh, man, just a few minutes ago, like I said, I was playing some salsa music and it just made me happy. I just started moving. I started laughing. I started giggling. It's just my happy place, y'all. It's just my happy place. Do I dance like that now? No, I don't dance every day. This area really is not conducive as much to dancing, and some of the classes that they offer, and I'm not saying this to be elitist sounding, but they're beginning salsa classes, and I don't need beginning anymore. I need something more challenging. So I don't do that, but I do offer beginning salsa classes and Casino Rueda. Um, y'all got to look those things up. I might share them on my page somewhere, what Casino Rueda looks like, and you'll know why. The biggest thing, and then I'm going to switch over to cigars after that. The biggest compliment I got, you should sign up to be an instructor. Cindy, I already am. I hold classes on Wednesdays in Knoxville. I hold classes on Wednesdays in Knoxville. But the biggest compliment was when we were in Cuba. We went as a Casino Rueda group from America. And it's very easy to just start, you hear the music, you just start dancing in the middle of the street. And we were dancing literally in the middle of the street. And people were coming out on their balconies in Havana, right? And they were looking, they were, oh, muy bien, muy bien. And one lady finally asked, she said, ¿De dónde eres? Where are you from? We said, Americana. They were like, no. I love when they, no. and then she switched over to English. She said, you dance like you're from here. Biggest compliment. You talking about some people just smiling then? Oh, yeah. We were like, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Can't nobody tell us we don't know how to move. Woo. She could have been just lying to us and being nice, but I don't think she was. She said we danced like we were from the area. And we did go to a social later that week, and we were able to keep up. I was tired because when I say energy, a lot of energy was used for that. But it was so nice. Like I said, it's one of my dreams that to dance Cuban style salsa in Cuba. I've also danced Puerto Rican style in Puerto Rico. I've danced in Chicago. I've danced New York style in New York. I've danced in Miami, which is it's Cuban style, but it's a Miami Cuban style. Just slightly different, but not a lot. I've danced cumbia, which is from Mexico and Colombia. Uh, There, like I said, it's all sorts of styles. I've danced bachata. Again, all of this is under that umbrella in the Dominican Republic, where it's from. That was a whole nother experience too. I think I'll add more of that to my travel Thursday part. So yeah, that's me and salsa. That's my mi corazón. I don't know. When I talk about salsa, salsa and cigars, it makes me want to use some of my Spanish words. Okay, so bear with me. If you speak Spanish, put it down in the chat. Um, Mine is not perfect, but I try. I practice, right? So now we're going to switch over to cigars. But are there any questions before I switch over from salsa to cigars? Put it in the chat. Let me know. Let me see who else is in here. I see Cindy, Dennis. I saw Catrice. There's Archie. Ah, hey, Carnivore Jerry. How you doing? I'm live. I know, right? Jerry, I know you didn't get a chance to hop on yesterday, but I'm trying something new with my channel. Each day I'm going to come on around noon to about 1 and just talk about different things. And y'all, the ones of y'all that were here yesterday, if you will just bear with me for a second, the new people on, I want them to know kind of what I'm thinking, okay? So, these are going to be my topics. I'm going to have, and I changed mental clarity Monday to mental mindset Monday. So on Mondays, we're going to talk about mindset and, all things that we think about. On Tuesdays, we're going to have Tiny Talk Tuesday. And for those that don't know, I live in a tiny home community. Walk with Me Wednesday is where I'm going to go out and walk. Now, unless it is 140 degrees outside, then we might just march and move around here. And, and it's mostly about movement on Wednesday. And we don't have to just do walking, I might throw some extra dance moves on Wednesday as well. Then we're going to have Travel Thoughts Thursday because I love to travel, car traveling, airplane traveling, cruise ship traveling, you name it. I like it. All right. So we're going to talk about that on Thursdays. Free for All Friday. So on Friday, that's when that's funny. Laundry Saturday. Actually, I'm gonna do my laundry on Monday this week. But Free for All Fridays, just we're gonna pick a topic and discuss it. It's gonna be a nice topic. It's not gonna be anything raunchy or anything like that. But just have fun in the chat on Fridays. And then on Saturdays, it's salsa and or cigars. So I had a friend to tell me that I need to talk about these two things because when I do talk about them with her, she's like, you just light up. So guess what? I'm lighting up with y'all. And that was a perfect segue into the next part, right? Lighten up. Hey, Tony. Hi, how you doing? Hey, Pam. How y'all doing? I'm so glad y'all are here. So glad y'all are here. So I'm about to go to the history now of cigars. So I showed you my little, I feel like I'm doing a teacher show and tell. I showed you my little dance shoes and favorite ones. I need to get some more because these are wearing out. But I also have my toolkit here for my cigars. This is what it looks like. And some people have seen the box and they're like, oh, you're carrying. Not in that box. I'm just going to say it like that. All right. I'm just going to say it like that. So let me give you a little history of cigars, okay? And you'll see why I put the two together because the histories are so similar, right? Oh, I'm glad y'all are good. I'm glad y'all are good, Tony. So cigars originated with the indigenous cultures in the Americas. A lot of people didn't know that. Where the Mayans and the Aztecs used tobacco for religious and medical purposes. The word cigar comes from the Spanish cigarro, which may have derived from the Mayan term cigar, which means to smoke. That simple, y'all. So in 1492, and you know who sailed the ocean blue, he encountered indigenous people smoking cigars in the Caribbean, and he brings tobacco to Europe. In the 16th century, cigars gained popularity in Europe, particularly in Spain and Portugal, and become a symbol of wealth. Yes, there's definitely an etiquette and sophistication to smoking cigars. In the 18th century, Cuba becomes a major player in the cigar industry due to its ideal growing conditions. Cuban cigars like Cohiba and Monte Cristo become highly sought after. I've smoked both. 1810, the first U.S. cigar factory opens up in Connecticut, which those of you who are familiar with cigars, there is a Connecticut blend. So it makes sense. It's funny. To me, you always should know the origin or the history of something so it can make it make sense in your head and in your heart, right? In the 1840s, cigars become popular in the US. In the 1900s, cigars face competition with cigarettes in World War I. I think cigars, well, they may not be winning out, but I'm telling you, it's still a battle between cigars and cigarettes. And I'll talk about that in a minute. In the 1990s, last thing, cigars experience a renaissance and attract more women. So it's funny that, oh, okay. It reminds you of him, huh? Yeah, well, there's so many famous people that smoke cigars. It always reminds me of, oh, what was his name? He was a comedian, little short guy, wore glasses, and he always had a cigar. I can't think of his name. But anyway, it's funny that now that I'm up here in East Tennessee, there are women who smoke cigars, but not as prevalent as where I'm from, the market that I'm from. So cigars are a culture thing. It's a community driven thing. And I meant to tell you, so is dance. Dance is a community driven thing. So when I say I'm in several communities, that's what I mean. I'm in several communities. So yeah. Cigars are still considered more elitist. In fact, so much so, if you go into a cigar shop and you smoke cigarettes, you are not allowed to smoke cigarettes in a cigar shop. That's a no-no. That's a no-no. I happen to have a couple of them here. And I actually have, I'm showing the different things because you don't have to, I'm sorry, I'm trying to do multitask again. You don't have to stay with one brand. A lot of people ask that question, especially up here. Again, I think we had a more diverse market in Nashville. We actually had a cigar crew in Nashville. In fact, I belong to several crews across the country. But you may have a brand that you're really loyal to and like the most, but it's best to smoke all over the place, right? Just like dance, you try a little bit of each style. So here's one. This is called a Liga Privada. Yeah. And this one is it's not a T52. No, this is a number 9. T52 is my favorite, but number 9 is not too far behind it. Oh, I wish you could smell it. Because with cigars, it's kind of like food. It's about smelling it, the taste of it, and all of that. This is one of the top lines of the Drew Estate company. I've had the privilege of meeting Jonathan Drew on several occasions. He's a hoot. He's funny, but he was known as the boutique cigar person, and now he's up there, in the cigar world. But anyway, what you have in the cigar package per se, you have three things. You have the filler, which is that inside part of your tobacco. And again, all of this is pure. That's what's different. Haha, Catrice. Yeah, you like salsa to eat too. Y'all are funny. But you have your filler. Again, all fresh tobacco, but certain leaves are better to be on the inside. Then you have your binder, which holds those filler leaves together. And then you have your wrapper, which is the outside of what you see. And the wrapper is where the flavor intensity comes. Okay. Um, this is a Maduro. Again, it's so much in the cigar world to learn. I smoke mostly Maduro, which is the darker leaf. Again, it's the flavor palette that you like. I like dark, rich chocolate. So I like the dark, rich leaf of a Maduro. I like coffee, strong, like Cuban coffee. So the dark, rich leaf, the dark coffees, they all go together for me because that's my palate. That's even my eating palate. I'm a meat eater, that richness of the meat. Yeah. Yeah. So that's a high end. And you would call these two more kind of the medium end. This is what's called the last call. And if you notice, all of the shapes are different. And I've been smoking cigars since 2010-ish. Yeah, 2010-ish. No, nope, take that back. Since 2015-ish. That's it. And I still get I still get the sizes confused, except for my favorite wrapper and size, which is called a Lancero. I don't, dadgummit, a friend of mine was supposed to give me a Lancero. This is probably the closest to a Lancero. And why I like the Lancero is because you taste more of the wrapper than the filler. So this one's considered a sweet tip. This is also part of the Drew Estate line. This is called the Girl with No Name. He has a whole series of ladies that have a slight sweet tip to them, but they smoke well. His tobacco is really good. They're not considered a sweet cigar. They just have a slight sweet presence on the tip of the cigar. So that's that. But yeah, these are more of the medium type cigars. These are the ones you would smoke like every day. Price point, for example, is that Liga. This one especially, probably about $25, $26 a stick. So you don't want to smoke that every day. That's for special occasions. That's why it's still in the package. But this one I think was like $5 or $6. This one was like $5 or $6. And then I have the ones that, because in the salsa, in the cigar culture, you share. Like if you're at an event or you're smoking with a friend, and if they don't have one, you give one to someone. So I get these so I can share. Again, still in the Drew Estate corporation umbrella, but price point is like $3. You don't mind sharing a stick that's $3. You will not share a stick that's $23. Okay. So yeah, I that's my assortment right there. So another thing, you got tools that you use in the cigar world. And this is my all-in-one. This is my cutter, lighter, and all the things. Okay. So right here is where I pull it out for my cutter. My favorite cut is the V cut. And it's because you see that little groove right there? When you cut it, it makes a V. So you can smoke it out of the V cut. Right here is the lighter. You see the flame? Yeah, it's a tall one too. I need to turn it down. So that's my lighter part. I also have a thing that they call the punch. So you can punch it if you don't want to do the V cut. And it makes just a round circle for you to draw from. And then I have a little poker right here that, because sometimes you'll get a cigar that's wrapped kind of tight and you might have to aerate it. Um, yeah, so I also used to make these. We'll talk about that on another episode. But this is the fancy, some people call it a fancy cigar roach clip, but it acts as the same thing as not a roach clip, y'all. But this is one of my product line that I used to do, Bella Cigar Picks. But again, I'll talk about that later. Okay. But yeah, that's the cigar world. Now I'm going to go back into the chat and see what we're talking about here. All right. I'm trying to watch two lives at the same time. Hey, I get that, Bacon Baby. Sometimes I have my phone going and I have my little pad going, trying to make sure I stay on to different lives. Oh, Sandy, I didn't know you used to run a tobacco shop. Oh, you don't have to apologize for not liking the smell of cigars. It's not for everyone. Just like salsa dancing is not for everyone, and the way we eat is not for everyone. But it just happens to be all of that is me. I really love the smell of cigar smoke. I don't like cigarette smoke, but I like cigar smoke. And it's funny because I'm kind of allergic to it, or I was kind of borderline asthmatic. But when I'm smoking, it doesn't bother me. If I'm not smoking a cigar, sometimes it does bother me. You always have to smoke a cigar on a full stomach too. So eating the way we do with the meat and satiated, perfect setting for smoking a cigar. Let's see. Everybody's saying hi in the chat. All right, let's see. So Cindy said, if I have to choose, okay, I'm going to try this, y'all. I'm going to try to put Cindy's. There we go. I did it. Yay. If I had to choose, hands down, salsa is my answer. So I was asking if you would pick salsa or cigars for your answer. And most people would say they would pick they would pick salsa dancing or the food as their choice. Let's see what else. What have I missed? Oh, I love this. Catrice says salsa. I like eating it too. Catrice, I'm going to teach you basic salsa. I promise. I'm going to teach you basic salsa. I might do some moves on here, not today, but on another Saturday, I might show some beginning steps. I want to get my ring light. It's in storage, and I'm going to go grab it sometime this weekend. And that way, y'all can see like the whole thing, so you can watch the feet move and all that kind of cool stuff, right? Oh, I like what Tony said. Salsa would be my choice if I want to stay married. I'm not sure if that means that Pam wants to dance, or that means there's no way you would be allowed to smoke a cigar in your house, or probably both, right? I don't smoke inside the house. I don't smoke inside the house. I go to a cigar shop up in Morristown, where I actually work sometimes, which is cool. And I think I told you all yesterday, the owner and friend of mine, he's going to allow me to film in there a couple of times and show you around the shop and see what it looks like. It's a really cool shop. And I'm so proud of him because he's only been open maybe a year and a half. And when I say his selection's pretty impressive for a young cigar shop, it's very impressive for a young cigar shop. And the people in there are very nice too, right? So let's see here. What else is in the chat? Yeah, let's see. Oh, yeah, here's Dennis. He says he can tolerate most cigar smoke better than cigarettes. Yeah, cigarettes, and I'm not cigarette bashing. If you smoke cigarettes, that's your thing. But cigarette tobacco is actually, from what I understand, taken from the trash part of the leaf and tobacco. And a lot of cigarettes have other things in it, where cigars are just like back in the day when the indigenous people smoked it. It is literally the leaf. The filler is nothing but a pure leaf. Now, they're all cured differently. Those three parts that I was talking about, the binder, the wrapper, the filler, they're cured differently, but they're all organically the leaf, the tobacco leaf. So that's why the smell is better. That's why the smell is earthier. Um, Cigarettes just have a lot of chemicals in it. Cigarettes would be considered, for those of us who eat more carnivore and keto-ish, cigarettes would be considered the standard American diet, where cigars would be the more carnivore style. Okay. So yeah, that's a good way to put that. That's the easiest way I can make that description, right? If there is an old man with two left feet style salsa, I mean, definitely salsa over cigars. Dennis, you have a right foot and a left foot. You do not have two left feet. You can dance salsa. It may take you a minute, but you can dance salsa. Y'all, anyone can do salsa. Okay. I've had people go, I have no rhythm. I have no. Well, it's just that your body has not been trained to hear the beat. That's what I try to do for my beginning salsa classes is I try to train the ear. Dance is more than just the movement. Again, especially dances like that. Um, it's about the rhythm. Like for me, I can hear an R&B song or something that, and I can call out what dance you do with it because it's the rhythm. It's the rhythm. That's the connection. So you would be able to dance salsa. You would just have to practice it. That's it. That's it. Let's see here. What do you have? Ah, oh wow, Cindy. Okay. Here's a fact written in the book by Gary, I guess, Taubes, The Case Against Sugar. There is sugar in cigarettes. Wow, because you can, I mean, I guess you can get a little addicted to cigars, but not really. You can put a cigar, like I stopped smoking for over a year. I just now started picking it back up again. But from what I understand, it's a hard addiction when you smoke cigarettes. So that makes sense. Thank you for sharing that, Cindy. That makes sense. They're putting sugar in everything, y'all. You've got to watch that. You got to watch out for that. But anyway, any other questions about cigars, y'all? I'm excited to be able to go to my friend's shop soon and show y'all that. I mean, especially for those of y'all that I know won't ever set foot in a cigar place. But yeah, oh, that's what I was gonna do before I leave out. I know we only have a few minutes, but I was gonna tell you the story when I first came up here. I um I was at church and I mentioned something about smoking cigars, and one of the gentlemen there said, you know that we got a new cigar shop here in town. I'm like, really? Where? Because I hadn't sought it out or nothing. I literally had just moved up here maybe 6 months before. And so finally one day I went to found it. I walked in. I literally walked in the door and there was some guys, and they're my dear friends now, my cigar buddies. There were some guys sitting there, and let's see, I'm gonna try to imitate them a little bit. They were sitting there smoking their cigar, right? And then they went, I went, hi guys, you know how I am. And I walk in. Casey, who's the manager, was like, is there anything I can help you with? Let me know. I'm like, I got this. Walked in the humidor, looked around, looked at their prices. I'm like, oh, good price point and good variety. Because everything I had seen up here was just like a smoke shop. I knew there was some cigar places in Knoxville, but it was nice to see something more local and closer to me. So I walked out and said, hey, I'll be back. I like the way your humidor looks. I said, but I've got to do something. I thought I had to babysit my granddaughter that Saturday. I get back home, find out that I did not have to babysit her. I went, I have nothing else to do today. So I head right back up and walk in, and the same guys were still there. And I walk back in, they're still going, because they were so shocked that a lady was coming in who looked like she knew what she was doing, and I did. And I picked a stick, paid for it, and sat down with the guys and said, "Hiya, fellas. What we talking about today?" Because that's the best part about the cigars, especially if you have people in there that you know, or even if you don't know. It starts conversation. It starts conversation. It is a community. After a while, you start seeing the same people, and it becomes like a family. It becomes like everything else that I'm a part of now. The dance community, you see the same people. You build a camaraderie. The carnivore space that I'm in, you see the same people. You build a camaraderie. Cigars the same way. I have traveled and done cigars, and each city that I go to, you find a connection and a camaraderie. So it is definitely community driven, and like I said, it's been fun because that's how I build my friendships. And that way I have friends for the most part that like to do the same things I do. So if I'm ever in a new situation, I look for dance in the area. Like if I'm traveling, I look for dance and I look for a cigar shop or both. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I get around. Let's see. Oh, let's see what Cindy says on this one. She said that book was an eye opener. There are so many things that have sugar that you wouldn't think. Great read. I'm gonna have to check into that, Cindy, because you know that's sad that they're taking cigarettes, something you smoke, which is already a habit. I'm not gonna say bad habit. It's a habit. All habits aren't good, but people might say cigar smoking is a bad habit. But anyway, it's mine. Hey, booby goats. Um, but to put sugar in it to make sure it's addicting, wow, wow, that's something. Okay, guys, it's almost time to wrap it up. Any questions or more statements about salsa or cigars? I guess I should do this. Hey, Aaron, I showed my dance shoes. You missed out on that part. And cigars. Here we go. The two things we're talking about today. And what I'll do on Saturdays, like I said, I might start showing some dance moves for salsa. And as far as cigars, I might talk about cigar etiquette on some Saturdays. If you're watching on the replay, y'all, hey, and make sure you put down in the comments where you're from and how I know you or where you found me. I always like to know that. I'm trying to understand these YouTube analytics. Oh, I'm glad I said that. I forgot to tell y'all yesterday. I had started the story. Well, I have an analytic director that helps me out, and it's my 10-year-old grandson. He's always like, Bella, because that's what he calls me, Bella. Have you put out a video lately? I'm gonna have to look at your numbers again because you're gonna you need to do so and so and so and so. You know, he's pretty good at it though, so I think I'm gonna let him keep the job. He's better at it than I am. Oh, let's see. That's who I was thinking about. That's exactly who I was thinking about, Carnivore Jerry. Just got back upstairs, and either you were talking about Groucho Marx or George Burns. And I was thinking George Burns. I forgot about Groucho Marx. But yeah, they were known to have their cigar hanging out of their mouth like that, right? Oh, look at somebody with a cigar, mostly men, but there are a lot of ladies that like to smoke cigars now, y'all. And from what I understand, the men think it's kind of sexy. I don't know. I just like to smoke cigars. But anyway, y'all, uh-oh. Whoops, I don't know what just happened. I didn't do it. I promise I didn't do it. But y'all, I think I'm gonna head out here. Oh, it started raining. which that's nothing new lately. I'm just going to get you guys to please, let's see if I can get it. There it is. Please like, share, and subscribe. I got to continue to remember to say that. And I won't see you guys again till Monday, and that's going to be Mindset Monday. I hope you can drop in. If you can't, I hope you can watch on the replay. I hope you share it with some fun. Mindset Monday, what I'm thinking about talking about is literally how you can get to the mindset to where you want to live more vibrantly. That's on one of my original videos about living your best life. And I think that's what we're going to talk about. I might do that one on Monday. I might also change it. I never know. We got a day in between. But I hope y'all have a good rest of your Saturday. Thank you all for joining in, stopping by, and sharing a part of my life with me, my cigars and salsa. I might fool y'all one day. I might make some salsa too. Who knows? Who knows? You know how my mind is. But I'll see y'all next time. Bye, guys. See you later.